Good morning. We have some what is good news that just came out from the commissioner yesterday, and I just wanted to share it with you in case you hadn't heard more about this. You may have heard when we'd already been given notice that they were going to be looking into improving the overpayment system, generally speaking, in terms of prevention and perhaps making it less onerous on Social Security disability and SSI beneficiaries. And actually, I shouldn't just say Social Security disability. It could be retirement. It could be any of the Social Security type of benefits. They were going to try to improve the onerous nature of how overpayments occurred, perhaps the frequency, duration, and how they were handled, because it came to light finally that it's extremely difficult for really kind of innocent people who find themselves in an overpayment situation that they never intended and did not have great reason to understand would happen. Okay, so what came out yesterday? Yeah, so Commissioner O'Malley, who's pretty new, so this is great that he's, jumping in there and rolling up his sleeves. He's described four, he calls them vital steps, to immediately address the overpayment issues. So we're going to go through them. It shouldn't take long at all because this is not a very long article, and I will put a button at the end that you can actually look at this yourself. This is supposed to start right away, this first one. In fact, it's going to start this coming Monday, the 25th. So that's really cool that he put a date on it. It says, quote, "We will be ceasing the heavy-handed practice of intercepting 100% of an overpaid beneficiary's monthly Social Security benefit by default if they fail to respond to our demand for payment. Moving forward, we will now use a much more reasonable default withholding rate of 10% of monthly benefits, which is similar to the current rate in the Supplemental Security Income Program." Okay, so interesting. That's a huge change. So basically what they were doing was if someone got notice of an overpayment and put their head in the sand, or a notice of overpayment was sent out, but the individual didn't get the notice, because let's face it, they sent it by U.S. Postal Service. I mean, can you get less reliable currently? Sorry, USPS, but I know in my parts it's pretty bad. So, sometimes people don't respond because they are just simply overwhelmed. Think about it. A lot of beneficiaries have severe mental conditions that overwhelm them. I mean, they can't go to work, certainly not substantially, because of some of these conditions. So it stands to reason that many of them might not be able to get up the strength or the stamina or the mental capacity to contact the SSA, just to reach out to them with such a fearful letter. That makes a lot of sense to me. Then, of course, like I said, there's the ones that never get the notice to begin with because it's not sent FedEx. It's not sent with any kind of delivery confirmation that they received it. So I think a lot of people suddenly do not, they're 100% stoppage of their benefits out of the blue. They don't even realize it. And now they're destitute. They're going to get evicted. They're going to feasibly be foreclosed on their home if they had a mortgage that they had to pay, because the interception might take quite a bit of time to clear up. And I'm just saying that because there's such a shortage of staff, and getting anything done quickly. Once a cog is in the SSA wheel, it can be hard to get it out. I spend a lot of my work days, unfortunately, trying to get a live body sometimes to fix a very simple matter that has very devastating effects. And it's always a simple typo. Someone's not paying attention up there, whatever it is. And getting, you can call them, you can write them, you can fax them, and it can take months. and imagine what the damage months can do to somebody who doesn't have their benefit coming in. So I think jumping to the 10% is awesome. That's pretty low. I'm glad for it. I think that's good. And then hopefully the person will step up and address the situation. But if not, at least there's something going on to recoup the monies. But the person is not starving in the meantime and will hopefully address it. Not going to get into, any blame game with people that don't address it. Because at least now, no one's getting decimated by the interception of their benefits, but something is taking place to start to recoup. So, number 2, we will be reframing our guidance and procedures so that the burden of proof shifts away from the claimant in determining whether there is any evidence that the claimant was at fault in causing the overpayment. That's probably a good thing. So it sounds like, and I didn't really, have my head in this area too much, because it's never part of my practice in terms of the blame game. Because really, there's so many ways I've seen different statements made that differ, that are contrary to one another about what constitutes blame of a, fault of a claimant versus not. Some of us would say, well, if they affirmatively knew that they were either lying or withholding something, then yeah, that could maybe be fault. But what if someone, say, went to work, thought, maybe through ignorance, thought that, well, their paycheck is less than SGA, therefore they are under SGA, when SGA is not after your taxes are taken out. So that would have been a mistake of law that they had, but they're not lawyers or Social Security disability advocates that are, well read on the subject. So while the statement always goes, well, it's publicly available, you should have known. Yeah, I get that. However, that's not reality, particularly, again, when you're dealing with a vulnerable population. So a claimant saying, it wasn't my fault, I didn't know, it's kind of valid. I mean, is that fault? In this particular arena, don't get me wrong, I'm a real hardhead when it comes to like criminal law and all that business. But I think what they're getting at is fault might be a little bit more, the SSA will have to show something affirmative to, and have the burden themselves to prove the fault versus assuming fault, and the claimant has to prove innocence of fault. So I think that's good. That is the shifting of the burden of proof. Number 3, for the vast majority of beneficiaries who request to work out a repayment plan, we recently changed our policy so that we will approve repayment plans of up to 60 months. Apparently before, they had a repayment plan of 36 months. Now, I don't know how carved in stone that was, because for sure, an SSI person, they didn't, there are people that have been paying for years and years and years, way more than 36 months. So I'm not sure how carved in stone that was. And again, if you're, unless if it requires that they take away 100% of somebody's benefit in order to have it paid off in 5 years, let's say that's how big the overpayment is, that kind of conflicts with the whole point of a payment plan, which is so they can still survive on the remaining benefit while they pay it back. So I'm not sure where that's going, but at least whatever they were doing to some people, at least with 36 months, it's now moved to 60 months, which is about 5 years. Again, if you owe $100,000, it could have been an overpayment that was occurring for 15 years, and you owe $100,000. That's going to be a little hefty to pay in 5 years. That's $20,000 a year. If your benefit's only $15,000, I don't think it's going to work. So I assume these are just broader, constructs here. But anyway, increasing from 36 to 60 with whatever they were doing on the hard side is an improvement. I would definitely give kudos to that. And the last thing he notes is that they will be making it much easier for overpaid beneficiaries to request a waiver of repayment in the event they believe themselves to have been without any fault and or without the ability to pay. So I'm not sure. Does it go on to say, I thought I saw something about making the waiver request easier. It might have to do with maybe not having to, I don't know. Let's see if they say anything up here. Probably not. I didn't really think the waiver thing was that complicated, so I'm not sure how much easier it's going to get unless they're saying you don't have to show proof of the bills, perhaps, or the assets you have, or the other income you have, and they will make assumptions, maybe. That I don't know, but we'll find out, I suppose. I assume the details will roll out. The only thing we seem kind of certain on is that number one, starting Monday, March 25th, we will be ceasing the heavy-handed practice of intercepting 100% of your benefit should you get a overpayment allegation from us and we don't hear back from you. So, all right, that's all good news, guys. Really good news. I look forward to seeing what they do. I've heard that Commissioner O'Malley is a tech guy and really wants to use technology to improve procedures and such. So if that is so, I do look forward to seeing how the things that were alluded to before about preventing overpayments to begin with. In a way, I think what they're referring to is the SSA getting information from the other agency sources that it already gets information from, employers, IRS, maybe, things of that nature, and getting them earlier so that when someone is inadvertently earning too much, or, maybe they were SSI and they forgot to tell the SSA that they have a little tiny part-time job, which would affect every darn month of SSI payments. I mean, that it just gets crazy. Maybe that is a quicker, maybe every quarter they're going to know, boom. So it won't be waiting for the next round of IRS statements and, a year goes by and you have a year's worth of overpayment. It would be nice to only have 2 or 3 months, right? I don't know. That's speculation. But I had been hearing scuttlebutt about trying to quicken the receipt of official information that the SSA receives from what it is now when they determine someone has an overpayment, and it's all through reports they've received, not from the claimant per se. Okay. So anyway, that's really good news, guys. I'm really glad to see them being proactive and not just I'll talk. Alrighty. I'll talk to you later. Have a good one. Oh, and if you didn't see already, we have a join button below for memberships. The memberships vary 1, 2, and 3. They start pretty low. They don't go terribly high, but certainly higher. People that don't want consultations wouldn't be looking at that. But it is designed to assist us in accepting a higher proportion of the 5 groups of underrepresented individuals. And I think I explained that in the little video that you can see in that join button. Which of the types of claimants and beneficiaries actually are underrepresented, as in they cannot get representation or help on their claim. And so we're hoping that in time, this might be a method in which case we can take more of a share than we already do. There's a lot of people that don't take any of them. So we kind of have to double up if we want to, make up for that loss. We can't do it and survive, but perhaps by offering these, the benefits involved in these different memberships to this channel, it will give us the wherewithal to hire people that can assist in doing that while not taking away any attorney one-on-one time with each and every client I have. Okay. Take care, guys. Chat with you later.